Hello, Team 5th grade. It's your self-proclaimed favorite mathematics teacher, Miss Aaliyah Brewster. It's time for us to do mathematics. But just in case you don't feel motivated, remember the words of Paul Halmos. The only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. So grab a pencil and a notebook, get settled, we're about to start. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Today's lesson, we'll be reciting the 15 times table, and then we'll be discussing that table further by working various problems. As promised, let's begin by reciting the 15 times table. You can feel free to join in with me. Let's go. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 3 is 45. 15 times 4 is 60. 15 times 5 is 75. 15 times 6 is 90. 15 times 7 is 105. 15 times 8 is 120. 15 times 9 is 135. 15 times 10 is 150. 15 times 11 is 165. And 15 times 12 is 180. Now that we're finished reciting the 15 times table, let's move on by discussing it further using a pyramid, a number pyramid. It resembles a sandcastle, which reminds us of having fun on the beach. With that in mind, let's begin. I want you to remember, boys and girls, that multiplication is simply repeated addition. I repeat, multiplication is repeated addition. Let's look at the example 15 times 1. You know, boys and girls, that any number that is multiplied by 1 is the number itself. The answer is the number itself. Therefore, 15 times 1 would be equivalent to 15. Now let's look at 15 times 2. 15 times 2 is similar to 15 plus 15, which would give us a total of 30. Next, let's look at 15 times 3. 15 times 3 is similar to 15 plus 15 plus 15. So there we're adding 15 3 times. The answer there would be 45. Let's look at another example, 15 times 4. In this case, we have 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15. So we're adding 15 4 times. And that would give us 60, a total of 60. So essentially, boys and girls, it brings us back to what we said before we began explaining. Multiplication is repeated addition. We take that number and we add it as many times as it's being multiplied. Okay. Now let's move on to discussing what a simple equation is. A simple equation is a statement whereby the values of one or more mathematical expressions are equal, and it's indicated by an equal sign. For example, 2 times 3 equals 6. That's a mathematical equation. Bearing that in mind, let's move on to our another activity, which is we're asked to write an equation to describe how many objects they are. Now, if you notice, we have 3 fruit trees, apple trees that is, and each tree has 15 apples. Now, if we were to write an equation to represent those pictures, we would first need to include the number of trees and the number of apples that each tree has. So let's take it one step at a time. The number of apples on each tree is 15. And the amount of trees that we have there is 3. Okay, it means then that 15 times 3 is 45. So our equation is 15 times 3 equals 45. Let's do another one. Here we're asked to write an equation to describe how many objects they are. But we're not looking at apples this time, we're looking at oranges. You would notice, boys and girls, that we have oranges being grouped in Groups of 7. One plate has 7 oranges and there are 15 plates there. So to write our equation, we need to represent the amount of plates and the amount of oranges in each plate. So our equation would look like this: 7 for the number of oranges in each plate and 15 for the amount of plates they are and the total. Therefore, our equation is 7 times 15 equals to 105. Very simple. Now let's look at another activity. For this one, we're given triangles. It says here that 2 triangles is equivalent to 30, while 4 triangles is equivalent to 60. What then is the value of 1 triangle? So you have to think about it. If 2 triangles, they look the same, but if when we add 2 triangles, the total is 30, it means then that 1 triangle must be equivalent to 15 because 2 times 15 is 30. Therefore, our answer would be 1 triangle is equivalent to 15. Boys and girls, I trust that you would have enjoyed today's lesson. We recited the 15 times table and we worked various problems surrounding the 15 times table. Thank you once again for tuning in, and remember the words of Paul Halmos. The only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. This means that even though our study time would have come to an end, that does not mean that you have to stop practicing. Thank you once again for tuning in, and goodbye.